Comfort is the most dangerous thing in a Christian man's life. It's not sin, it's not temptation, it's comfort. You see, with sin, at least we know that we're in a battle. We know we're in the midst of something in a struggle. Where comfort wants to convince us that everything is fine, but yet our faith slowly dies right from underneath us. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, welcome to the Uncommon Man with Torrey Collins. I am your host, Torrey Collins, and this podcast is where we dive deep into the biblical truth, into real life application, and really the hard conversations that most men want to avoid. We've got new episodes every single week, so if you haven't subscribed or dropped a follow yet, I want you to do that right now so you don't miss what's coming up next. You were here last week, welcome back. I'm so thankful you're here. And if you're new, I'm so glad you showed up. You picked a great week to show up. So last week we talked in episode 1 why most Christian men stay average. And when we did that, we identified 3 reasons that most men never step into the life that God has actually called them to. And those 3 reasons are comfort, isolation, and identity confusion. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I want you to hit pause right here, go back and start at that one because it's kind of the foundation for everything we're going to build upon on this podcast. But today, we're going to dive deep into that first one, comfort. Because I don't think we can really move past that until we really understand what it's doing to us and how it's working against us and really what God's word actually says about it. So let's get into it. So comfort is a modern problem. That's our first point. Comfort is a modern problem. I want you to think about something for a second. I want you to think about the men God used in the most powerful ways throughout Scripture. Think about their lives. Think about their stories. Think about what they went through. Noah. God told him to build a massive ark when it hadn't rained one day in his life. Can you imagine what that would look like to his neighbors, to his family, to his friends? Like the ridicule he went through, the confusion, the discomfort of being completely set apart from everyone around him. But he built it anyway. Abraham. God told him to leave everything, his home, his family, his comfort, everything, and go to a land where he would show him later. No address, no map, no guarantee, no comforts. Just go. And Abraham went. Moses, a man who stuttered, who had a criminal past, who had been living quietly in the desert for 40 years. God called him to stand before the most powerful man in the world at the time and demand the release of not one person, but yet the release of an entire nation. See, that's not a very comfortable assignment. Look at David, a teenage shepherd boy who walked onto a battlefield and faced a giant that trained soldiers were too afraid to fight. Nobody volunteered for that, but David did. And then there's Paul, beaten with rods, shipwrecked 3 times, stoned and left for dead, imprisoned multiple times. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 17, he calls all of it light and momentary trouble compared to the eternal glory it's producing. Light and momentary, he said. See, these were not comfortable men. These were available men. Men who said yes to God regardless of what it cost them. And God literally used them to change the course of human history. So I've got to ask the question, when did we decide that following Christ had to be comfortable? Because somewhere along the way, we got that idea. And it's costing us everything, and we don't see it. Our second point is Jesus never promised comfort. We can be really clear about something here. Let's look at what Jesus actually promised his followers. Because I think a lot of men have been sold a version of Christianity that Jesus himself never offered. Look at John chapter 16, verse 33. Jesus said, and I want you to hear this very clearly. He said, "In this world, you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world." He didn't say you might have trouble. He didn't say that trouble is possible. He said you will have trouble. That is a promise. It's not the kind of promise or message that we want to put on motivational posts on our reels. In Matthew chapter 10, verse 22, he said, "You will be hated by everyone because of me." Not maybe, not in some extreme cases for missionaries and pastors. He said, "You will be." And we already talked about Luke chapter 9, verse 23 last week. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. You see, a cross is not comfortable. A cross is not convenient. A cross is not something we just pick up when we want it to fit in our schedule. We're told it's something we are to carry every single day as an act of surrender and as an act of obedience. You see, Jesus was completely honest about what following him would cost. He didn't hide it from us, he didn't soften it. He was very honest and upfront. The question is whether or not we've been paying attention. Our third point, comfort numbs us. Comfort numbs you. Here's what comfort actually does to a man over time. It numbs him slowly and quietly without him even realizing what's happening. You see, we don't wake up one morning and just realize that we want to be a passive Christian that day. We don't just wake up one morning and that's the decision we make, to be passive in our faith. It doesn't happen like that. It happens gradually. We skip quiet time one morning because we're tired, because we're exhausted. We worked too hard. We were up too late. We miss a week at church because life got busy. There was a ball game. The kids had a sports event. We stopped having hard conversations because they create conflict. And guess what? Conflict can be uncomfortable. We stop pursuing growth because we feel we are good enough. And before we know it, months have gone by, maybe years, and our faith now runs completely on autopilot. Comfortable, unchanged, unfruitful. In Hebrews chapter 5, verses 11 through 14, it talks about believers who should be mature by now. Believers who should be eating solid food spiritually, it says, but they're still on milk. They're still in the same place they were months and years ago. Why is that? Because they got comfortable. They stopped pressing in. They stopped growing. The writer of that chapter calls them slow to learn, is what he says. Not because they weren't capable, simply because they weren't hungry anymore. Comfort had killed their hunger. You see, a man who is never challenged never grows. That's not just an opinion. That's biology, that's psychology, and the most important part of it is that's exactly what Scripture shows us over and over and over over again. Men who are not challenged do not grow. Ask any man about their lives and where they've grown the most. I promise you they will tell you it's through the hard times and through the struggles that they've grown the most. So what do we do? How do we apply it? Well, the first way is we identify our comfort zone. We got to identify it. Every single man has a comfort zone in his faith. There's a line that we won't cross. There's a sacrifice we won't make. There's a conversation we won't have. There's a commitment we want to keep putting off. And I want to be very specific here because I think that we are very, very good at identifying comfort zones in other people, but yet we're terrible at identifying them in ourselves. For some men, their comfort is time. They'll give God Sunday morning, 10 in the morning to 11:30 or 12, whenever service is done, that's when they'll give God. But the rest of the week belongs to them. Their quiet time is the first thing that goes when life gets busy. For some guys, their comfort is money. They'll tithe when it's financially painless, when they're fine on money, but they won't truly sacrifice. They won't give in a way that actually costs them something. For some men, their comfort is their reputation. They'll follow Christ privately, their house and their hearts and their small groups and their churches, but publicly they won't speak up. They won't take a stand at work. They won't have the faith conversation with their friends because they're afraid of what people will think. They're comfortable. For other men, their comfort is in relationships. They'll avoid the hard conversations forever because conflict can be uncomfortable. They won't tell their son the truth. They won't confront a friend who's heading in the wrong direction or doing something like a bonehead. They will let relationships stay surface level because depth requires vulnerability. And guess what? Vulnerability is uncomfortable. So, which one is yours? I know you got one. We all do. We might have more than one. The first step to breaking out of our comfort is being honest enough to name it. Our second point in application is comfort zones are where our calling goes to die. So I want you to think about something that God has put on your heart that you haven't done yet. Something he's been trying to nudge you to do. Something that keeps coming up in your mind, in your quiet time, in your conversations, and in the back of your mind late at night. There's something God is putting on your heart. Maybe starting a Bible study. You want to start a men's group. Maybe having a conversation with your son or your friend or somebody that you keep putting off. Maybe it's leading your family in prayer, praying with your wife. It's going on that mission trip. Guys are going to do a construction mission trip and you're not sure if you want to go because it'll be uncomfortable. Maybe it's stepping into that ministry role or serving at your church. Shoot, maybe it's writing a book. Whatever it is, ask yourself this honest question. Is it inability that's stopping me? Or is it comfort? Because most of the time, if we're being really honest with ourselves, it's not the inability. We're very capable. It's comfort. We want to dress it up like it's timing. We want to wait on it's God's timing. We're waiting on God. And we say we're not ready yet. But really, we're just comfortable where we're at. And stepping out may feel a little risky. You see, your comfort zone is not where God does his best work. It's where God's calling in you goes to die. So the last application is, how do we break out of comfort? How do we do it? How do we break out of our comfort zones? So practically, how do we do this? How do you break out of comfort when everything in you wants to stay right where it is, nice, safe, comfortable? Here are 3 things that will actually work. first, go and do the uncomfortable thing. Do the uncomfortable thing first. Whatever it is you're avoiding, put it at the start of your day. Before you check your phone, before you wake up, before you turn on the TV, before you get busy, before you settle into your routine. Because the longer you wait, the more comfortable you get and the harder it becomes to do it. So do it first. Just get it out of the way. Second, I want you to put yourself in rooms that challenge you. What does that mean? Put myself in rooms that challenge me? I want you to find men in your life that are further along than you spiritually. I want you to get around people that make you a little uncomfortable in the best way possible. Iron sharpens iron. But it only works when there's a little friction. That's when sparks come. You can't get sharper by surrounding yourself with men who never challenge you. That's like sharpening your pocket knife on a wooden block. It's not going to do it. You need some grit. You need some sparks. And third, this one's tough, but I want you to do it. I want you to be bold. I want you to pray specifically for discomfort. He's a pastor friend of mine, missionary in Mexico, and one day I heard him. He said, "Lord, make me uncomfortable today." I was like, man, that is bold. I love that. Ask God to make you uncomfortable. Ask Him to remove things that are keeping you comfortable. Ask Him to stir up something inside of you that comfort has been putting to sleep. It's a dangerous prayer, but man, it is powerful. And I can tell you from personal experience, God will answer it. See, October of last year, end of October of last year, I had just left a nice, comfortable job as a branch manager for a large equipment rental company. I had a nice company pickup truck, very comfortable, had a nice, comfortable salary. But God was calling me to something different. I had been battling God for years about going into full-time ministry. What that looks like, the uncomfortable part of that. Finances, all of the excuses I had. And finally, October of last year, I stepped out of my comfort zone. I got rid of my fancy truck that the company provided. I got rid of my fancy salary that the company had given me. And guess what? I got uncomfortable. I share a truck with my stepson, and I support raise. That's what God did. And I tell you, man, my life has been so fruitful serving Him ever since. So my challenge, before we go, I want you guys to do this week. I want you to actually do it. I don't want you just to think about it. This is very simple. First thing, I want you to write down one thing God has been calling you to that you've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable. Just write it down. Be specific. Don't be vague. It's not like God doesn't know what you're talking about. Name it. Just write it down. Get it out there. Step 2, I want you to write down what comfort is costing you by not doing it. What is the cost of not doing it? What is staying comfortable actually taking away from you? Because we don't ever think about that. What is our comfort keeping us from? From our families, from our faith, from our relationship with the Lord. And step 3, I want you to take one step towards whatever it is this week. Not the whole thing, just one step. Make a call, send a text, show up, say yes, whatever it is, just do one step. Because here's the truth I want to leave with you today. God doesn't call comfortable men. We saw it. He called available ones. And availability requires us to let go of our comfort. One of my favorite sayings, my guys, my men's group hear it all the time. I say, God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. The question isn't whether God has called you to something uncomfortable, because I promise you he has. He absolutely has. The question is whether or not are you going to answer. So that's episode 2 of The Uncommon Man with Torrey Collins. If you were here last week and came back, that means something. You're already starting something. You're already choosing to show up regularly and consistently. Keep doing that. Keep going. Next week, we're going to talk about the lie of I'm just not that guy. That statement we like to say, I'm just not that guy. I'm not like you, Tor. I'm not the guy that's going to step out into full-time ministry. I'm not that guy. And that one's going to hit. It's going to hit hard. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. If this episode helped you, I want you to share it with one dude in your life. Somebody that needs to hear it. Somebody that needs to grow and get uncomfortable a little bit. Leave a review, leave a comment, leave a like. Any of those things. All those things help us reach more men. So until next time, stay uncommon.